Always an adventure when we do a live show.
Yeah. Is it going to go live or is it
Right?
going
Is it
to
going to actually
not?
go or not? I mean, even the music's like, nah, we're good. Wait, let's play our little finger popping
Oh,
music.
yeah.
Yeah,
There
that's
we
good.
go.
There it is. Okay. It's official now.
Linda her due on this
Yeah,
one.
got to give her everything there. Come on, girl. All right, Nunez Productions, if you're looking for some help.
You need some riffs.
Yeah, you need some riffs and some opening stuff. Anyway, this is Stages of Life Radio, and as I did say, it is clearly live. And
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're not going to get assassinated on the way out of the studio.
it could happen.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Dr. David Klein. He is the man. 5 board certifications,
Thereabouts.
mostly in something like
I
that.
stopped counting at 5.
Did you? Mostly in pain management, but really, we're not. It's not like a one-stop hop house, if you know what I'm saying.
No.
It's more like, hey, give me the problems, the symptoms, and I will actually fix it instead of just treating the symptoms and getting you hooked on something like Big Pharma wants.
Amazing.
I'm serious,
man.
man.
I know. I can't disagree with it as much as I'd like to. I always like disagreeing with you.
I know you do.
I like disagreeing with everybody.
A lot of people like that, yeah, disagreeing. It's a
my
lot of
nature.
fun. But you can't disagree with what I just said.
No.
No.
Actually, what it is I'm well studied. Let's just say that my library in my head is a big one.
Uh-huh.
So, and it doesn't even necessarily matter what you've studied. I've had the opportunity, just as out of design, to read a textbook a week. I did this back in the 1990s. Actually, it's like 2000, 2001. I read a textbook a week on many other disciplines other than my own. So I've got this library, actually physical library in my office of all the books that I've read this way, highlighted. And what happens is that you find yourself filling in the dots educationally. And right now that's a big deal. A lot of folks go out there and they get a fairly general idea of what medicine's all about. They go into a residency learning a lot about very, very little. And then by the time they get out, most of them are too tired, too fed up to actually keep studying not only their own field, but anybody else's. So it's fun to sit back and read about pediatric endocrinology or sit back and to read about immunology or read about endocrine. It's fascinating. And then you just have to keep studying it because what you read in a textbook is already 5 to 6 years out of date. So I spend an hour or two and sometimes as much as 3 hours a day reading the National Library of Medicine articles as they flip through.
There you go.
It's great reading, and if it's available to you, the listener, for no cost because you paid for it in your taxes and you can do it yourself.
Now, weirdly enough, Dr. Dave was... I mean, you were on the Good Morning Orlando show on Friday morning with us, and we appreciate that very much. And Bud and I and Alan asked a few questions about antibody testing with regard to COVID-19 post-vaccine.
Yes.
Okay. So what you explained to us, and I want you to go into more detail because, again, being an avid reader and opening up it looks like I'm reading this thing here from the FDA that says, don't antibody testing.
Yes.
No, you don't need to do that. That's not helpful after you've been immunized. So tell me the truth.
Well, here's the deal. I sent you that little ditty from the FDA, Food and Drug Administration of the United States of America, in May of this year. And what they said was, well, you really can't use quantitative or semi-quantitative antibody levels to tell somebody that they have any degree of immunity, which is but then they go on to explain why this is the case. And essentially is they're afraid that if you tell somebody that they have a degree of immunity, that they'll drop their guard, which is another way of saying that you'll stop being afraid and making logical decisions.
Stay fearful, people.
Stay fearful, because as long as there's a crisis, they have control. So they wouldn't necessarily want you or anybody else to lose control. So this is how it goes in medicine. Medicine is kind of an interesting art. It's an interesting science. But when you're looking at infectious disease, and this is something that is nothing new, you look at antibody levels, and if you have robust, that means high antibody levels, it means you've had a whopping infection, or you have a whopping antibody response. That's what it means. So we look at antibody levels when you have a hepatitis B inoculation. So you get those 3 inoculations for Hep B. You wait 6 months, you get an antibody level to see if you need a 4th or 5th one.
Okay.
That's the way it goes. There's nothing new about this.
So why, aside from what we just said, why would the FDA float the information that testing for antibodies to see if you have a level of protection in your body is not necessary?
Well, there's a couple reasons for this. One, it admits, as it should have all along, that there's a failure rate.
Well,
that's the first thing, and there is. The second thing is that not everybody's the same, which also doesn't go along with certain political narratives. The third thing, okay, which I find to be most interesting, is that they want you to jump every time they say jump, and they want you to squat every time they say squat. So if they say you're going to have to wear this and you're going to have to do that, and these are all the things you're going to have to do, and oh, by the way, we're closing down your industry, but not yours, for another 3 to 6 months, they want the power to do so. Now, I am not a big fan of anybody. Okay, I like to get the data and make my own decisions. I'm perfectly happy sharing my opinions with whomever chooses to listen. You can believe me, you can not believe me, you can agree with me, you can disagree, it doesn't matter. The beauty in an open, free society is the ability to disagree and still remain friends. I have people that I've known for 45 or 50 years. They've disowned me on Facebook because I liked President Trump. Now, does that sound stupid or what?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, honest to God, for a bunch of people that are supposed to be liberal, which honestly I think is supposed to mean friendly and inclusive and, accepting, a lot of people are not. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
The cancel culture?
It can happen.
Yeah,
I got canceled a number of times. Okay, so here's how it goes. And I'm spending a lot of money, okay, to try to help as many people as I can here. All right, this is not doing a lot for me, other than the fact that I really do care about especially those people that are listening. Okay, because you're listening, you're devoting your time, you're giving up your valuable time, hoping to better yourself or learn something. And that's true. That is a fact. You are giving up a part of a Sunday afternoon, or if you're picking it up on the webcasts, whatever it is, it's your valuable time. I know what my time is worth. Okay, and I'm sure yours is equally valuable. So what happens is that I am just a voracious reader. I really knock down some data. More so, I do my own research. Now, people come into my office all the time, and I was a research scientist, okay? And they start telling me, well, I did my research. And I go, well, wait a second here. What kind of research did you do? You read advertisements, catalogs, and people's blogs, and that's not research. That's simply reading somebody else's ramblings. If you want to do research, I encourage you to do this. Go to the National Library of Medicine site, which is PubMed, PubMed.gov, and start reading. It is not canceled. They haven't figured out how to do that yet, and you can actually pick up real data. Whether it agrees with me or disagrees, it doesn't make any difference. You get a chance to read. When you're looking at science as it moves its way forward, there's always contradictory data and contradictory opinions. It works that way. Back in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, there was a movement called Listerism. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it went something like this. You should wash your hands and wash the surgical instruments, because you might make somebody sick with a used piece of surgical equipment.
No.
Now, this was before they understood about microbes, bacteria, and viruses. So there was somebody out there that made an observation that if you used an amputation knife on somebody with gangrene, it was very likely you're going to give it to the next person that you chop their leg off. And a lot of this happened during the Civil War. So Listerine, okay, came from the good Dr. Lister.
Well, Listeria.
Listeria was also named after him. That's just exactly correct. So what is it about these antibodies? And I'm going to give you the short answer here. And this is, I ended up on the Fox channels yesterday because of this, because of our little show on Friday morning. Apparently I stirred some fecal material up. And it goes it goes something like this. Okay, I've done over 15,000 quantitative antibody studies for IgG and about half as many IgM.
Okay.
And I did this in my own laboratory, pretty much at my expense, because I wanted to do my research. I have my own laboratory. That's research.
Yeah.
You sit down and you actually observe people and you ask questions. You ask them, have you been exposed? If yes, when? Did you develop COVID? Yes or no?
Right.
And did you take the vaccine? And if so, when? And then you can start looking at the response to these antibodies. And what I will tell you in the next segment is truly remarkable, and you may hear it here first, except for the fact that I did on Fox News last night.
Right. Well, you're definitely here on Stages of Life Radio. By the way, best bet if you want some questions for the doc is to text them in at 23680. Again, text your questions to Dr. Klein, 23680, and also you can watch us on the social media. We're live right now, as well as on News Radio.
I just waved.
FLA. You waved.
I waved to those that are watching.
That's effective. They love that.
Especially the ones listening.
No, the people online are like, hey, you waved. The people on the radio are like,
Yeah.
What?
What?
Yeah, I didn't see that. So anyway, so yeah, we've got people that are pretty fired up about this, by the way. I thought to let you know that. Here's one says, Fauci is a fraud.
Fauci's not a fraud. He's a politician. Okay?
Yeah, now, he's a well-paid man.
Yeah, he is highly paid politician. Now, can you make claims that politicians are basically fraudulent by nature? Yeah, you could make that argument. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I was there for almost 30 years. What I will tell you is that you can't trust them. They will tell you whatever you need to hear or what they think you want to hear to keep their job. Now, why is Fauci the highest paid? Why is he the highest paid federal employee? That's of all kinds, including the president. He has been there forever.
40 years? 4 decades?
4 decades. He's been there forever. So, they pay you a little bit more each year because you're that much smarter and that much better each year. That's an argument against that system.
Isn't he a pharmacist, though? I mean,
no, he's a physician.
Sure?
I'm not sure
of that. He was a pharmacist.
I don't believe so.
Okay, just checking. But I know he's definitely got his hand in the pocket of big pharma.
He's got his hands in lots of people's elsewhere too. So yeah. So that the story with him is that he's very, very effective in pushing along his own agenda. But that doesn't mean that it has to be my agenda or your agenda.
No,
what you need to do is you need to do your own thinking. Don't react. Do not be fearful, and always question the data that's in front of you. Always, because what you're reading may not have anything behind it. There are lots of people out there that live in their basements, essentially, and have all kinds of opinions all day long with which to start writing things up. And many of them are a whole lot smarter than they look. If you ever run into some of these folks, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Okay, there's a reason why they're not on their own. So the issue with the antibodies, and again, we're going to get back into this in just a moment or so, is that there is some value in knowing how much is in your bloodstream. And you can get that data, whether it's positive or negative. Well, gee, you're IgG positive. The little finger sticks, that's the only thing we had for the longest time, told you whether or not you had been exposed. Without the data looking at these things quantitatively, we had no way of knowing when they turn positive and when they turn negative. So with the research that I've been doing, which is I'm trying to get people's attention with it, I'll give it away. I paid for it. I'll give it away if they want it. Is you're able to figure out by measuring sequentially the amount of IgG in the bloodstream, you can figure out when it's going to go away. What you don't know and you can't know is at what point are you going to be more susceptible than you are right now. And the answer is tomorrow you will be more susceptible.
Gotcha. We are a radio station and pay licensing music fees. Please do not silence us for 30 seconds. It drives me crazy when y'all do that. I'm just gonna
it's paid for. It's a real show.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, they're not going to listen. They're in India. They don't know.
I never. They know. I don't know. Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando, 4 to 5 p.m. Sunday afternoons, because why not? Also, and we are broadcasting live on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, believe that.
What the heck is Twitch?
It's more of a gaming app, but you never know.
Oh, do I get to be one of those avatars?
You want to be an avatar?
I want to be an avatar when I grow up.
I want to be an avatar.
I want to be
I am Melissa Fox, by the way. You do not. Hey, Tony Fauci here. Listen up. Believe everything the FDA says. No, I'm seriously. We were talking before the break, Dr. Klein and I, and during the break, you really do miss a show during the commercial breaks on the radio. We actually answer questions and talk to our social media people live. So we got a lot of questions to answer already. One here off of the web that I was just talking about, off of your Facebook page. Barbara wants to know, why would somebody continue to test positive after having COVID, and can they be contagious?
There is a brilliant question for you. Well, what you're hoping is after you get COVID that you will remain positive with the testing for as long as possible. So as long as you're kicking out something called IgG, which is immunoglobulin type G, subtype G, then you are kicking out an immune response. That doesn't mean you're infectious. So in order to know whether you, with a positive IgG, is infectious, we have to do one of two things. Either we do a PCR or we do an antigen study. One of them, is less accurate, less sensitive than the other. The antigen study, in my humble experience, has a sensitivity of 3,200 viral particles per ml, and then the PCR, if it's a good one like mine, it's about 50. So you're much more likely to pick somebody up with a PCR and being infected than you are with the antigen. I've had both of those platforms done on me. When I got sick with COVID, I wanted to see when one went positive, stayed positive, and the other one went negative. And it confirmed my mathematical model that said 3,200 on the antigen. And the way we did that was by quantitating the PCR. So that's a little something else that we did first, okay, which is kind of nice. So how do you quantify it? And I'll be tickled to death to show it to anybody. But with a PCR, what happens is it turns positive at a particular cycle of replication. So it takes a vial, it takes a little bit of it and doubles it, and then doubles it, and then doubles it, then doubles the amount of viral particles in there. Actually, it's really just the mRNA. Double, 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 39 to 40 times. Okay, and that means that it's going to take a minuscule, undetectable amount of this chemical and make it measurable. If you're positive at a lower cycle, it means you have more to start with. And if you know your level of detection, you can multiply that by a little factor that we worked out, which is the inverse to log 2 of the cycle. I mean, if that makes any difference to anybody, that's how you do it. And that will tell you what the viral load is. So you need to know your LOD, you need to know your cycle of positivity, and it'll tell you your total. It's fascinating how this thing works. So why do you care about that? Because if let's say you're somebody important, okay, you know what I mean? Somebody important wants to know when they have to go back to work because they may have an important job. So by checking the PCR sequentially, you can actually pretty accurately tell them when they're going to go negative. The antigen, the Sophia, that sucker, okay, it usually goes negative about 3 to 5 days before you're no longer infectious. And that is a scary thing. Well, I got the antigen and it was negative. Why did I get sick? Ask those 2 Australian athletes in Japan what it means to have a negative study, okay? That's the first thing. Okay, the second thing is when you have a low limit of detection, you can detect when people go positive. So when I did mine, I knew exactly when I was exposed. 2 days later is when I got the data on the PCR. And then I did PCRs myself several times a week so I could get the data and track it out. And it's fascinating. So, people think, well, after it takes 5 days, 7 days for you to turn positive, and the answer is not a chance. You are sick on day 2. You get exposed. Second day, you start feeling bad. Third day, you start feeling worse. With a good PCR, you'll pick it up on the second or third day, and that is kind of interesting. So, but I have to isolate myself for 2 weeks. We're having patients in the office, okay, that are positive after 4 to 6 weeks. On the PCR, they turn positive, and you say, listen, I'm sorry, but you just don't want to kill the rest of your people at work. And that is an interesting bit. So what you're hearing, in my humble opinion, from the FDA and CDC is dumb. Okay, I think that's the right way to put it.
That sounds right.
Dumb. Okay, because not everybody is the same. Well, you can isolate for 2 weeks and you're going to be negative. No, that just is false in the face of the data that's out there. And that's the way it goes. If you're negative with a good PCR at 5 days, you're going to stay negative after 2 weeks. That I can pretty well promise you. But to tell you that somebody that's positive is going to go negative after 14 days, you are just absolutely wrong. So we got some really, really wealthy people in Jacksonville that stayed at home for a lot longer than they thought they were going to because they kept testing positive. I mean, we're talking billionaires that we flew out to do their testing for them. And it wasn't in our best interest to say, well, Mr. Okay, you're still positive. It means you have to still live in your basement while the rest of your family's upstairs. So this is the way that it goes. And you can believe the FDA if you choose to. You can believe the CDC if you choose to. I do my own thinking. I hope you do too. So with regards to the antibody testing, we are doing that at stages. It's $49 for this study.
Is that as a
Period.
patient under your...
If you're a patient of mine, it's $49.
Okay.
If you're not a patient, we have to make you a patient. And I talked to Iris about this on Friday after we started getting a flood of calls.
Right.
What are we going to do? Because, most of the expense in coming to see me is that we do an extensive background on people.
Right.
It takes 3 to 4 hours. You don't need to do that to get a blood study.
Okay.
So we're trying to put a package together. It'll be under $200 to be able to come in, fill out just the necessary paperwork. And then we do a follow-up on the telephone or on the portal.
All right.
And so to get your antibody level, my advice, and then the follow-up on it is you come in and get the thing done in 90 days. And you can actually track the antibody levels going up and down.
Okay.
We used to do IgG and IgM. The IgG tells you when you got sick, but something kind of occurred to me after about 15,000 patients, and that's that nobody really cares when they got sick.
No.
They want to know when they're going to get sick again. And so right now we're seeing antibody levels drop to dangerous levels. In my opinion, that's below 2, as quickly as 5 to 6 months. So I had to write 4 letters this past week to the state health department saying this person needs to be re-inoculated because their gamma globulin level is dropped to a non-immune status. So they come in, we test them. If it's below 2, you get re-inoculated. Why? Because it drops about 1 to 3 units per month. If somebody comes in at 2, by the time they read the memo, they're already at risk. Now let's understand what the antibody levels mean. And this is a question that I'm hoping somebody asks, and if you did ask it, I'll answer it before you ask the question.
There you go.
All right. So let's say that you have a high level of antibodies. Does that mean that you're immune? And the answer is no. Let's say that you have a low level of antibodies. Does that mean you're immune? The answer is of course not. But what it means is this: is that if the metaphor I'm going to use here is a good one. If you were a police officer, a cop, okay, a Leo, call it whatever the appropriate nom de guerre is, okay, right. Whatever you want to call yourself. So you get a chance to go out into the public, and you want to protect yourself. So what do you wear? You wear body armor. Now you're a smart guy, okay. The body armor is not going to stop every type of round at every distance at every velocity. But you wear it anyway because it increases your chances of survival. If you take a neck shot or a head shot or groin shot, it's not going to help you necessarily. You may die anyway. Or if it hits your armpit or whatever, you may bleed out. But you also know that if you don't put the stuff on, you're at greater risk. If you're in a helicopter in the military, you wear heavy body armor. Why? Because you're now getting heavy rounds shot at you, these heavy automatic weapons. Yeah. So it increases your chances of survival. So the more antibody that you have on board, the deeper, the thicker, the heavier, and the more effective the body armor is. That's all there is to it. So, is it going to prevent me from getting sick? No. What it'll do, though, is it'll give you a greater chance of survival. And that's what this whole thing is all about. There's no guarantees in life.
No.
You go out there and turn the key of your car, and you want to take a trip, let's say, to Tampa. There is a finite risk involved of you getting there alive, arriving back home dead, or maimed, because there you are on I-4. All right, so a lot of people, the most dangerous road in America. So we turn the keys of our car with flip abandon. When we're looking at antibody levels, you need to do the same thing. So I have patients that come in and we track these things. And I draw the people's blood every 90 days. Get in. And you can watch them fall. And the T-half beta, the elimination half-life, for those of you that understand such things, is about 100 days. Now, okay, well, you just took the course in medical school. You understand exactly what that means. What that means is that every 90 to 100 days or so, the amount that's leading into it is cut in half. So it doesn't take a lot of arithmetic on the back of a napkin or whatever to figure out what you have to have in order to be immune in 6 or 9 or 12 months. And that's how it goes. The other thing we found, which is really cool,
is going to be talked about on the other side of this commercial break.
Man, I had it right there.
Suspense, yeah. Plus, we have a handful of questions also about the Delta variant, about some kids, some of the great unvaxxed. Is that what they're calling them now?
I don't know. I think there are people that are exercising foolish, but they're their own decisions. I'll support you. I'll disagree with you, but I still like you.
Yeah, I'll come to your funeral.
No, I hope not.
I hope not either. I just don't want people to get sick, and I still want to be able to see Grandma. So,
like I tell my patients, I value your life, even if you don't.
Indeed. And on that note, we'll be right back. Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
There's a little sarcasm there, but sometimes that's what it takes. People have to look at it and go, wait a second here. We laugh at the other people's foolishness.
Yeah.
The folks with the aluminum hats. Why we tell people about the people with the aluminum hats? Because not too many years ago, there were folks out there wearing aluminum hats to protect their head from the stray radiation that's out there.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, but there were people coming into my office wearing aluminum hats. Honestly, I felt actually pretty much at home with them.
Fit right in.
Everybody's just a little bit crazy.
We're all wearing tinfoil hats.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, that's mostly aluminum these days. It's cheaper than tin.
Yeah, tin's much more expensive.
Much more expensive.
Yeah.
So it's more effective against that stray radiation too. By the way.
Yes, aluminium definitely works.
That should make tin sales go up.
I got a question on the
what do we got?
on the chat here. I have gout on my ring finger. Do you know what I can do for it?
Yeah, go bachelor.
Yeah, cut the ring off.
Cut the yeah, and then after your wife is done beating you silly, yeah, there are a couple things you can do. All right, first thing is you want to get the gout under control. I have this issue, so I take
fingers.
Yeah, I take allopurinol and I take it every day. The dosage is somewhere between 100 and 400 milligrams daily. It's very, very inexpensive. So if you have no insurance, it'll still cost you $11. All right, it's not a lot of money. The second thing is you need to read. This is where going to Google is not a bad idea. Oh. Foods to avoid with gout.
Okay.
And look very carefully and read the list. Avoid the list. Then understand that the body will tolerate a certain amount of these purines, and then as soon as you get to that spot, it's like walking blinded off a pier.
Oh.
Now, to take care of the pain right now, what I'm going to advise you to do is to go get some Voltaren gel. That's diclofenac, 1% or 2% gel. You can get it up to 3%, really. And you take a dab of that, about the size of a chocolate chip, and you apply it circumferentially. That means all the way around that knuckle. And it'll take about 2 to 3 minutes, and it'll settle it down nicely. There's another one called Pensade, which has DMSO in it. It's $1,500 a bottle.
But it works real good.
It works real well. And it's real fast, but it's real expensive. So get the diclofenac at Walgreens, CVS, Target, or my favorite place, which is Costco, because it's inexpensive. If it's hitting your ring finger, it's hitting you elsewhere.
Yeah.
So you need to do this. Now, the problem with gout is that when your uric acid goes up and you see crystallization in the joints, you're also going to see it in the kidneys, and it's a preventable cause of kidney failure. So while your finger is important to you, your kidneys are more important.
You know, that's true.
I thought so.
Somehow. I feel that you're like onto something.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
thank you, Robert, for that question. We have a follow-up from Barbara. I'm going to have you answer it on the air, though.
All right.
She was the one with the COVID.
Cool. Good. It's a great question.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Welcome back, Stages of Life Radio. Check out stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com for a myriad, really. It's a bounce-off platform because you've got stagesoflifevitamins.com where you can purchase anything that we talk about here, basically, nutraceuticals and more of Dr. Dave's concoctions that actually make people live better lives.
And what's really neat about it is you can pick something, a topic, a medication, an element, a mineral, whatever, and then hit search, and you can pick off products that have it, and then if you cursor down, you've got audio files that will teach you about it. Okay, not the product, they'll teach you about the disorder.
Teach you about the disorder so you learn. See, the thing is with Dr. David Klein, and I've known the guy for many years now, is that he doesn't like to just deal with the symptoms. You know, here you go and throw, it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. Instead, he wants to find out where that spaghetti came from. Can we fix this sauce and put it all together and make it work?
And do we necessarily have to keep boogering up the wall?
Right, what's with the wall?
What's with the wall? Somebody has to clean it.
Anyway, so with that in mind, Barbara posited a question earlier about testing positive after she had COVID.
Yes.
And whether or not she would be contagious, to which you said that's good that she's still testing positive?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, she's got a level of immunity.
So as long as she's not fighting with the actual symptoms?
So the question is, how did she test? Mm-hmm. So did she test with a finger stick? Okay, that's a qualitative IgG.
A good question.
If the qualitative IgG is positive, it means that you have antibodies. If the IgM is no longer there, it means you're no longer likely to be infectious. Okay. Mm-hmm. However, the way that you really know with a certainty is by doing the PCR, and at stages through a company called Florida Laboratory Analysis, which I'm a co-owner. For full disclosure, I helped put it together, and as it turns out, we can get that done in 24 hours. So 24-hour turnaround time for PCRs is no place else in the country with which I'm familiar that does that routinely.
Well, Barbara says it was her daughter, actually, but go ahead.
Her daughter?
COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the way you do this is you simply get a PCR. If we do the PCR, I can about guarantee you it's negative, it's down in the dirt.
Okay.
That's the way it works.
All right. Now, she did further question by saying, is there a possibility of maybe testing too soon to find out if she had COVID? She had tested negative on July 8th, but had all the symptoms on the 10th.
No. It depends upon the sensitivity and the type of testing. So if they did it as finger stick or blood work, it would have been too soon because it takes 6 weeks to get IgG. It takes maybe 4 to 6 days to get IgM.
What about the swab now?
The swab, the PCR, can go positive in 2 days, and it did it with me and my wife, and I've seen it with other people as well. The antigen, the Sophia, the rapid test, those are notoriously inaccurate. And so, yeah, just ask President Trump how much fun that is. Okay.
Speaking of President Trump, Sarah Grace is online, and
Hi,
she
Sarah.
says, "Why would anyone dislike you?"
I got a whole. Yeah, you ought to ask some of my relatives.
I
can
even
give
all
you
the question.
all
He's
day
already,
long.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's not even all the question. We barely even got there. Dislike you for liking President Trump. He never approved of Fauci's Wuhan funding. Fauci provided U.S. tax dollars, payer dollars, for the gain of function research in Wuhan to develop the more lethal coronavirus, also known as a bioweapon.
Yeah.
And they're very active. And Obama's money went to help him out too, guys.
Yeah.
Do your research.
Oh, it goes back.
It goes very back and very deep.
With both the Air Force and the Navy, I was what they called a CWBW officer. Okay? If you have military experience, you know what that means. So, yeah, chemical and biological weapons is one of the things that was part of my specialty, things I had to know. So I had to deal with that with the military. Now, does that make any difference? The answer is no. Okay, I didn't kill anybody doing that. Okay, just for full disclaimer. No, my job was to keep an eye on our people and to determine when it was used elsewhere, and to let's say when Hussein used it against the Kurds.
Oh.
Okay, I was around for that one.
Yeah, I popped out before Afghanistan got stupid in
Yeah.
the Desert Storm.
I missed
the first
I was
one.
there for SHIELD. I was the second reservist in the country recalled.
I got sent to stateside for that.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot of questions about Delta variant and
Sure.
COVID, so we best get to that. Stop reminiscing.
Yes, ma'am.
I had COVID early January this year. I was tested for antibodies at the beginning of July. I still have them. Is it necessary to get the immunization?
Yes. Absolutely. This is dead smack right in the middle of the research I've been doing, looking at levels, looking at the number. The fact that you are positive doesn't tell you how much. If you're my patient, you would know how much, because I would tell you. It'd be in your record, and that would be the end of it. You'd be able to watch that thing drop. But it goes from, if you were exposed to COVID, the units don't have a name to them yet. I haven't figured that part out yet. But once it exceeds 0.8, you're positive. That was just the way that Becton Dickinson set the test up. But in terms of the units, I've seen them as high as 60 to 70. These are on inoculated individuals. But when people get the virus, I've never seen it much over 15. Now, so if it's 15, it drops to 7 in 90 days. It drops to 3.5 in 120 days. And then what do you know? By 150 days, it's about gone.
Yeah.
So I got COVID also in January. But I also got the inoculation in January.
Literally days.
The next day is what happened. It was really very
Hey
very
guys,
lucky.
just want to let you know.
Yeah, I just exposed everybody at that vaccine station. Yeah. But that's the way it works. You know, that's why they walk around in moon suits. Not that it necessarily helps,
really
but
necessary.
No. So what we're looking at is that those levels are terribly important. So why do you need to know? Because you need to know. Now, with regards to the vaccine, if you're positive of the gamma globulin and you get the vaccine again, it runs it back up. That's how it works. It works that way with every infection. So I went yesterday and got my shingles vaccine. That's a pleasure, I got to tell you. Okay, the COVID vaccine wasn't much of a bother at all.
Not really.
The shingles vaccine, that's smart a little bit as it went in. And it made me feel pretty cruddy today. So do I care? The answer is yes. Okay, I care that it bothered me. Do I care that I got it? I do. I'm going to do it again in 8 weeks, get the second, because getting shingles is a bummer.
Yeah, okay? It's worse than the dang shot.
It is a bummer. One of my business cohorts ended up with shingles in his eye, and it cost him the use of his left eye.
Oh my God!
He's only 50 years old.
Oh no!
So what do? You get the darn vaccine. It cost me $190 because I didn't hit my Medicare deductible because I've stayed healthy as a horse all year. So in spite of the fact I had COVID.
Got another one. Text line is 23680, and we've got a bunch of questions on here, so get them in here fast. Show ends at 5 o'clock. If unvaccinated 30 and 40-year-olds had the original COVID 8 months ago, do they need vaccination now, and do they have immunity against the new Delta variant?
The Delta variant and the immunity is the same. The Delta variant is not any deadlier than the Alpha variant.
It's just more fear-mongering.
It's just more fear-mongering. So the people that are getting sick with it are getting sick just the same as they did before, but it's no more deadly.
Right, it's just a little more contagious.
A little bit more, maybe. But do you remember how contagious they said that the COVID was when it began? Well, every person that gets it's going to give it to 6 other people or 10 other people. Turns out to not even close to being the case. Whole family clusters. One person gets sick. They're all in contact with each other. Nobody gets it. Believe me, okay? Immunity is such a complicated endeavor. So if you had COVID back in January, as I did, I am going to get the vaccine. When it comes out, I'm lining up. If I have to, I will push you aside so I can get it.
Stop that. Step on your back. I will. No, listen. Here's the thing. Now we've... Okay, and I tell you this before, I hear the contentions every day, Monday through Friday on Good Morning Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
I listen to you.
Most of the time on the phone, they don't even get on the radio anymore. But the masks don't work, dang it. But one thing I've been hearing lately is if this vaccination is so important, then why don't they approve it all the way instead of using the emergency authorized use?
Great. Okay, because it takes several years to get full approval, and we don't have that long. So imagine for a moment that you're on the Titanic, and all of a sudden it's getting wet down below. Down she goes. Okay, and you look around and you realize in the North Atlantic you have about 15 to 30 seconds time before you die in that water.
Pretty cold.
Okay,
yeah.
It wasn't exactly like it was in the movie. You don't get frost on your head before you die. No, your muscles stop working and down you go.
Yep, bye-bye.
Doesn't take long to happen. So you don't want to sit around and ask whether or not the FDA approved the life rafts, or whether they had anything to do with the life preservers, because after all, they have to have 6 of these incidents before they get that. And it keeps going. The fact of the matter is, in a crisis environment, you don't worry too much about whether it's been tested fully or not. You just want to go. So if your house is burning down, let me ask you a question. So you're going to look for a fire extinguisher. Do you first check the expiration date on that? You'd better check it because it might be expired. And if it is, you got to throw it away and go get another one.
Most people use it, and when it doesn't work or something, then they fling it aside.
Yeah, you use it. Okay? So so a lot of this argument is absolutely inane, but it's your opinion, and I respect it.
Hold on. The text line's blowing up. This one guy says you never answered the question about the immunity of your system if you had COVID in the past, and goes on to say your body is your best immune system in the world. Why would you still have to get a shot?
Because you do. Okay, the fact of the matter is you're going to end up with a paucity of, that means a little bit, of the antibodies by the time this today rolls around. So if you had this thing 8 months ago, the likelihood of you having any antibody is about 0. So congratulations, you can get it all over again, as many people are. COVID a second time, a third time, what a joy and rapture that is.
And unfortunately, your body was the best immune system back before we started polluting it with all this synthetic crap and fake foods and everything else.
Well, it didn't help it much, did it?
Sure did not. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. We got more questions. We got a guy here who uses 5-hour energy every day, Monday through Friday. So, we're going to talk about whether or not that's good for you.
What do we call him, Buzz?
Soon to be a heart attack.
Yeah.
Be right back. It's Stations of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
We will answer Buzz's question after this.
Before he might not make it.
What do you think of...
And he goes on to say, but that was the point of the shot. They can't prove how long it lasts either.
But I have been. That's what I've been doing for the past year and a half. So the point of this show just went right past you.
This is the contention. Yeah, he's actually listening to the radio, I believe.
Oh.
But that's the contention radio. What do we got here? Let's see. Barbara said it was her daughter. She was tested by swab when they tested her negative, and then she got positive.
That could be, if they did the fast one, the one that gave the result in 15 minutes or less, that is an antigen study. The COVID PCRs, unless they're done by us, generally took as long as a week or 2 to get the results back.
I said the quickest was like 48 hours, and that's costly. Wasn't it something that you were doing?
No, the one we're doing. If you want it done in 24 hours, and you need it done in 24 hours, we'll call in the staff, and that's a little bit more expensive. That's $400.
But you were capable of processing.
Heck, if somebody comes in on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we'll have that result by 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
6 hours, 8 hours. So, but if somebody rolls in at 5 p.m., it'll be 3 the next day.
Gotcha.
If they come in on Thursday, God bless you. Because we still have to run it to Jacksonville.
So when we get back on this, we're going to get this guy's back again.
There we are.
Oh, he's back again.
All
right, let me see what I got left here. Oh, look, I threw in one of my own sponsors. I threw a connection spot in there. Look at me.
Why not?
I know, right? Why not? Is a good question. How come that one is so long? All right. That's weird. Okay, guys. Anyway, thank you. Thanks, everybody, for participating today. That was very nice. I really like it when we get a full deck on not only the text line.
Yeah, full deck on the Titanic.
Stop. Let's see. No mask, no distancing, no vaccine, no fear. Way to go, John. No.
Okay.
Hi, doctor. My name is Star Miller. I met you in Cancun.
Oh, very cool. All righty. Oh, okay. Excellent. Yes. Thank you for listening.
How about that? Hey,
yes.
Thanks for looking up the show, too.
In
Please like
in the
the
tapas
page.
area of the Palace Elite.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Star?
Very nice gal.
Very
no, she
nice.
is not a stripper.
Oh, well, you never
I know
ask.
I know what
I
you're
actually
thinking.
have a friend named Star and a friend named Cricket, and neither one of them should ever be strippers.
What's your stripper name?
My stripper name?
Yeah. Mine's Jade.
Is it?
Just so you know.
Really? I'll tell you, Misfits.
Misfits
Yeah, no.
Incorporated.
Misfits. All right. Stand by, because we're coming back. No questions, just observing today. Hi, Iggy. Thank you.
Hey, Iggy.
Oh, welcome back to Stages of Life. This is our show. We do it from 4 until 5 Sunday afternoons. And as you might have heard during the commercial break, you radio people, that the Doc and I do a show called Connections, which runs Thursday nights at 9 o'clock here on this here same radio station.
And 13 others.
Yep, as well as 13 other affiliates and a whole bunch of. But point is, News Radio WFLA, you get you a double fix of the Doc. Okay?
Yeah, if you can stand that.
Yeah, if you can handle it.
If you can handle that, you can handle COVID. I promise you that.
What do we talk about? The macular degeneration?
We talked about
that'll be this Thursday night.
Macular degeneration and diabetic retinopathy.
Yep, that'll be this Thursday night at 9 on that show. But now we've been talking about the COVID vaccine, the fact that the FDA put out this narrative that they don't want you checking for antibodies.
No, that not to rely on the data.
Bother.
Oh, don't bother with the data. We're just take our opinions for
Right.
it. So one of the things that is in shortest supply in our country right now is trust in the government.
Well, you think?
Yeah, and so coming from the government, don't pay any attention to the data. Listen to what I have to say, because this is true for everybody who's listening. Nonsense. Biological systems differ from person to person, from gender to gender, from age to age, and situation to situation. And it's rare, I mean very, very rare, to be able to test anything to the type of degree that you would expect to do it scientifically.
Sure.
Why? Because you don't have any control over gastrointestinal absorption. You don't have any control over necessarily even body temperature. You have no control over diet, no control over, and the list keeps going.
Huh.
So how do most people get coronavirus? And you're going to go, well, gee, it's aerosolized. And the answer is, if that were the case, then every man that ever got it would have given it to every wife that he slept with. All right, true, but it doesn't work that way now, does it? And every kid that you kissed goodnight before you found out they had COVID would have given it to you. The fact of the matter is it's not necessarily the most efficient way to transmit this virus, is it?
Well, no, you came to my house after getting the vaccine that same day. And then called me the next day and went, tested positive for COVID. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, just so you know that.
And I'm pretty sure there was like a hug,
Oh, there's always a hug.
Kiss,
when we're done, there's always the obligatory sloppy.
Reach around.
Always works. That's well. I mean,
and
you live for it.
Yeah, I do actually. You're right. Yeah.
So if it were the most efficient way to get COVID, I would have given it to you many times.
Yeah, several times over, as well as our
Lizzie.
co-host Lizzie, Linda, Tess would have had it a million times.
Well, Tess got it the same time I did.
Right.
Now, how did we get it? We got it the most efficient way that you possibly
Please
can.
don't eat there again.
Yeah, I won't. Okay, believe me. We got it in a sandwich. Okay, so
COVID
it was a turkey
in a sandwich. I'll have that.
Turkey and cheese. A little bit of lettuce, tomato, and a COVID slug.
Yeah,
and so what? So the person, somebody coughed on it, somebody sneezed on it, or handled it without properly washing their hands.
It's the only way that they could have both gotten the disease.
Because we split the sandwich on the same day, which was New Year's Day. We had been closed in our office since the 24th of December.
Correct.
So we were pretty well holed up at the house. We saw nobody, did nothing, but decided to go to the beach and look at the ocean or do what we had to do. And that's where we get nailed. It was in a sandwich shop. Now, if you think about it, now there are a lot of people out there going, well, gee, that's absolutely wrong because I wore my mask, yada, yada, yada. And I'll tell you what, look at the nursing homes. Now, we're seeing a big upsurge in positivity in Jacksonville right now. It's at 16% and climbing. So the nursing homes are going nuts right now. So expect them to shut down. So if you want to go visit Grandma, I suggest tomorrow is a really good day to do it, because next week you may not be able to. So what's it all about? In a nursing home, where do people get COVID and how do they get it? And the answer is this. They don't get it because the nurses smooched on them. You go to a nursing home, you never see the nurses. They're often in an office someplace or catching a smoke out back. So they got these people. Grandma's is in a room. You're lucky if you can get somebody to change her sheets. How did she get it? Well, you think somebody came in and kissed her on the forehead? No. What happens is it's in the food bowl. How did they get it on cruise ships? The food bowl, the buffet table. How did the folks get it in the Navy on the carriers? In the mess hall. That's the only way that you can give it to a lot of people that fast. If you look at these things and figure, well, it takes 2 to 5 days for the disease to manifest. In order for you to infect 4,000 people on a carrier, it's going to take about 3 weeks. But everybody that got sick at the same time because they were all given the bug at the same time. So how do you have these biological systems? How much virus is ingested? What's the acidity of your stomach? Are you taking Prilosec? Are you taking omeprazole? Are you taking any of these antacids? That increases your susceptibility. Wouldn't you know? Do you have hypertension, which means you have these ACE2 receptors that are more present in your gut than other people? You're going to be more sensitive.
Here's someone who's echoing in. My mother's Alzheimer's facility is again locked down. 11 new infections, and 7 of them were people who were already vaccinated.
Yeah, because the vaccine only lasts so long.
Right. Plus, it's the same as any other vaccine. It doesn't guarantee that you're not going to get whatever its vaccination is against. It just takes you down a lot. And if you do get it, symptoms shouldn't be as drastic.
Yeah. So we're getting calls from nursing home facilities to come in and do sweeps. Okay, there are very few facilities around that are able to do this. So Florida laboratory analysis. If you're running a nursing home, we still have room on our schedule, but not much and not for long. And that's what we're doing, is we're going in and testing the whole lot of them. Right. So we're able to do 200, 300, 400 people at a clip. That's not going to take us but 50 minutes to run those studies. And so, yeah, we have lots and lots of room on our machine. So if you want us, call us at Florida Laboratory Analysis in Jacksonville. They will schedule your facility. If you have a bunch of students, we're talking to Duval County right now because, well, the last time this happened, they needed to do 12,000 kids. Can you guys handle it? And the answer is, yeah, it takes us 12 hours to run those.
Right.
So, yeah, we can do it.
Line them up. Knock them out.
No, actually, what they're willing to do is actually do the sample gathering for us. If they do that, we can do it. We can have it done before dinner.
Here's the gentleman, or I believe a gentleman, who was questioning earlier about the best immune system, of course, is your body. So they are talking already about a booster shot 8 months after you get the original.
8 months is very capricious. What I will tell you is that 120 days is when you need to start thinking about it. So I am not somebody that necessarily thinks that 8 months works for everybody. That was a number that was pulled completely out of thin air.
I thought so.
So I have been measuring and measuring and measuring. I have 15,000 data points to look at. Okay, that means that I kind of have a little experience in looking at how these things degrade. And folks that got their inoculations in January, February, got the disease in October, November last year, are long gone with regards to their IgG.
And real quick, before we got to get out of here, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. Annie wants to know about it. We got about 30 seconds. I totally forgot about you, Annie. I apologize. But you know what? I'll answer you by text here a little bit if there's something going on. Just text us back, 23680. Let us know. Is there something going on we really need to know about? And I'll do our best. I will do our best for you. So with regards to the COVID and testing for antibodies and the like, it's highly recommended that you do know your antibody level.
Know your number. If you know your cholesterol, you know your blood sugar, you should know your IgG number with regards to COVID. It'll give you a general idea whether or not you need to get that booster and when. And we will do it for you. If you're a patient of mine, it's $49. If you're anybody else, it'll cost about $199.
All right, more information coming up as we close the show. We'll be back again next Sunday at 4 o'clock, and of course, a Connection show on Thursday night at 9 o'clock right here. Say bye.
Adios.
You've been listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Check out stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com or stop by 1917 Booth Circle in Longwood near the intersection of I-4 and 434. Call 407-679-3337. That's 407-679-3337. Dr. Klein accepts most insurance and Medicare, too. Join us next Sunday at 4 p.m. on News Radio WFLA Orlando.